Oki is a massive bum. This guy, introduced as the big boss of the order, introduced as the guy who's gonna bring in Sakamoto, Nagumo, and Izuki and set the assassin world back in its place, has been nothing short of a loser. So today I figured I'd go over what Oki has and hasn't done in the story to really take a look at how the supposed leader of the order stacks up compared to the rest of the cast. Introduced in chapter 168, Oki is instantly characterized as someone who's extremely uptight and rule-oriented. He's incredibly precise, telling Shishiba and Osaragi that they're a minute and 14 seconds late. And when Shishiba calls him out on this, asking him what he could actually do in that time, Oki immediately responds by saying that he could kill him. Of course, my dog Shishiba isn't scared of the smoke, so he challenges Oki, telling him to try, but Oki backs down, saying that Shishiba needs to go through the whole JAA procedure of putting a hit out before Oki can actually kill him. We'll see later on that this avoidance of the smoke is a recurring act for his character. Following this, Oki just berates Shishiba and Osaragi, saying that he's incredibly disappointed in them because while Oki was overseas, 2 order members died, 2 left, and several branches of the JAA were destroyed. Oki does show a little bit of virtue here, saying that it's really the leader's fault when his underlings screw up, and claims that he'll sacrifice his life once he puts the world back in order by taking down Sakamoto, Nagumo, and Izuki. Despite this act of virtue though, Shishiba, Osaragi, and Kamihate are all collectively happy to see Oki die. Afterwards, Oki takes Shishiba, Osaragi, and Kamihate to meet 2 new order members, in which he isn't actually all that offensive. One thing to note though is that the order members Oki brings in are markedly different from the old order members who never really had strong feelings for killing and were relatively morally neutral or straight up altruistic like Hio. These newer order members though have very apparent flaws, like Tanabata's psychopathic bliss from killing and Torres's very apparent gambling addiction. This however doesn't mean much for Oki's character until later. For now though, Oki's whole goal is just to kill 3 Class A extermination targets, and as soon as everyone is acquainted, he gets right to work. Right after saying this, the order actually runs into Sakamoto, Nagumo, and Shin all in disguises. Oki asks Sakamoto, who is disguised as his wife, if he actually knows where her husband is. Obviously, Sakamoto says no, but the situation quickly escalates as Torres suggests using Sakamoto's wife as bait to lure Sakamoto in. Thankfully, Oki is so rule-oriented that he doesn't actually go through with his plan, but Shin panics and the disguises dissipate. Torres is the first to act, followed by Nagumo kneeing him in the face, which allows the 3 convicts to start running. All this time, Oki just kind of stands back and watches, lightly instructing Kamihate to not shoot in order to allow Tanabata to do his thing. Once Tanabata stuns Sakamoto, Osaragi and Kamihate swoop in for the kill but are stopped by Shin, allowing the 3 convicts to completely run away. Torres asks Oki if they should pursue, but again, Oki strays from the smoke, saying that unplanned battles just lead to accidents. The next time we see Oki, he just bosses Torres around and tells him to infiltrate the prison to secure Atari. Once a prison break is fully underway, the entire order pulls up to stop it, despite the fact that Oki is once again saying that they're so strong by claiming that 2 order members would be more than enough to stop them. As it turns out, the whole reason the whole order pulled up was because they've actually teamed up with Izuki to create the JAA revolution. And the whole reason the order has done this is because their boss, being Oki, really likes the assassin way of life. But unfortunately for him, that way of life was fading as the world no longer truly needed all the assassins. So he teamed up with Izuki in order to ensure that the assassin world would be kept alive. From the mouth of Oki himself, he loves killing and he loves power, and he would love nothing more than to keep that for himself in the New World Order. So with that, he finally closes his thoughts and tells the rest of the order to kill the prison breakers. While the rest of the order members are actually getting active, throwing hands and fighting Sakamoto's group, Oki just watches, waiting until Sakamoto is directly facing him to show his store getting blown up, possibly alongside Aoi and Lu. Once Sakamoto is completely stunned from watching his life's work be completely annihilated, Oki swoops in for the kill, but is stopped last second by Yotsumura and Kendaka. It isn't until he's literally got a blade to his throat that Oki actually does something substantial, and after squabbling with Kendaka for a little bit, he pulls out his guando and starts to actually get active. to Oki's credit, he isn't completely overwhelmed by Kandaka's speed and actually manages to block his kick and then dodge Yotsumura's attack. With the two former Order members now on the field, Oki now thinks that fighting is no longer cost-effective and would only detract from the other things that they have to do, so he leaves Sakamoto's gang with the warning that they'll settle this soon before dipping. So now, Big Boss of the Order is practically working under Izuki, since Izuki is the one who's actually spearheading the JAA revolution, while Oki just provides a helping hand with the Order. In light of this team-up, Shishiba, the GOAT, decides to take matters into his own hands and straight up just confronts Izuki for a 1v1, intending to kill him before Takamura can come out. But Shishiba is stopped as both Oki and Torres pull up to help Izuki, with Oki actually throwing hands during this confrontation. Oki also continues talking shit, saying that he thought Shishiba was smarter before asking if he has any last words. Thankfully, Osaragi is a real one, pulling up to help Shishiba turn his 1v3 into a 2v3, and wouldn't you know it, the moment the scales tip ever so slightly, Oki immediately strays from the smoke, instructing Torres to destroy the floor they're standing on so Shishiba and Osaragi can fight an army of goons instead. This incessant killing triggers the Takamura personality inside Izuki, which then leads to Takazuki dropping down and instantly blitzing Osaragi. My GOAT Shishiba though, despite being scared of Takamura like everyone else, pulls up with zero hesitation to scrap with him, even landing a solid blow on him before being saved by Kamihate. This trio is eventually able to escape the wrath of Takazuki, bringing back normal Izuki, who asks Oki if he wants to go after them. Despite the facts that Kamihate sucks at hand-to-hand and Shishiba and Osaragi are already injured, Oki pulls out his classic move, declining to continue fighting, even noting that he himself feels a little uneasy. This is likely due to Gozu, who in his literal first appearance has already demonstrated a greater proclivity for fighting, instantly stunning Kamihate and then scrapping with Shishiba and winning their brief exchange. He is slapped aside by a reawakened Osaragi, but he gets up right after and is more than excited at the prospect of killing the three defected Order members. So, what do we see in all of Oki's appearances? We see that he's a huge pussy. No matter what the situation is, no matter how outnumbered his opponents are, and no matter how much of an advantage he himself has, Oki always runs from the smoke. More than that, this man is always talking shit, asking for respect from the people he's trying to kill and saying that he thought they were smarter. He had the audacity to tell Shishiba that he could kill him in a minute, only for him to immediately resort to using cannon fodder once he was no longer jumping Shishiba in a 3v1. Even in his first potential fight, he does not want the smoke despite it being a literal 6v3, and at the time Sakamoto and Nagumo were the only legitimate threats to the Order. Shin hadn't had his power up and would have been cooked instantly, so Oki had every advantage going into that fight. When the entire Order pulls up on Sakamoto's gang, Oki is busy talking shit and bossing people around before actually getting active himself, and even when this whole fight was planned out, Oki still decides to run away when two former, retired, out-of-prime Order members pull up. I get that Yotsumura and Kandaka pulling up was pretty unexpected, and Oki's whole thing is to plan things out intelligently, but he's still genuinely a bum. All in all, Oki is a morally depraved assassin that talks big to people he sees as below him, but almost never actually backs up his word and typically stays away from fights where he doesn't have an overwhelming advantage. So basically, Oki is a bum.